On April 5th, 1942, the Führer issued his basic battle plans for that year's major campaign of force on the southern front towards Stalingrad and the Caucasus. The Nazis employed 74 of their 217 divisions on the Eastern Front, a total of about 1 million men, supported by 1,500 airplanes of the 4th Air Force. The familiar pattern of Nazi warfare was being repeated. What the Germans couldn't pillage or carry off as plunder, they burned in their passing. If some of the old ones and children escaped death, they were left with nothing. The odds were heavily against the Soviets. In the face of the Nazi advance, fighting doggedly, the Red Army steadily withdrew. During June, the Nazis had lost 130,000 killed and wounded. In July, 160,000. On July 28th, Stalin had ordered, not one step back. Despite their superiority in numbers and equipment, the Nazis were still more than 60 miles away from Stalingrad. It would take them 2 months to cover the distance. In August, the Nazis lost nearly 260,000 men. On September 13th, the Germans managed to break into the city proper. They were jubilant. Stalingrad seized. Goebbels announced the demise of the city named after Joseph Stalin. The letters home were exuberant. Today I wrote to Elsa, we shall soon see each other. All of us feel that the end, victory, is near. For many of them, the end was very near. The fighting took on a new character. Whereas previously the course of a campaign could be measured in miles, in Stalingrad, progress was measured in yards. In one 3-day period, the center of the city changed hands 5 times. The front line was behind every pile of rubble. Stalingrad was a general's nightmare. The streets had been so cratered and filled with debris that tanks could not maneuver. There could be little air support. Situations changed so rapidly that artillery was useful only at point-blank range. The lines were only a hand grenade throw away from each other, sometimes as close as different floors in the same house. Often the fighting was hand-to-hand. When September began, a German diarist had written, "Are the Russians really going to fight on the very bank of the Volga? It's madness." At the end of October, he was writing, "The Russians are not men, but some kind of cast iron creatures. They never get tired and are not afraid of fire." Took an oath over their dead comrades. "We swear to the last drop of blood, to the last heartbeat, we shall defend Stalingrad." By the end of October, the city was cut in half. The Soviet positions had shrunk to a few pockets of stone, nowhere more than 300 yards deep. General Chirikov exhorted, act more ruthlessly with your grenade, your Tommy gun, your dagger, and your spade.
Our last command post was within 10 or 15 yards from the water's edge, I recall. It was very hard fighting between our 62nd Army and the Nazis. They had great superiority.
There is no land for us behind the Volga, said Vasily Zaitsev, the sniper, giving Stalingrad a motto. Matvey Putilov, a signalman dying of wounds, put live wires in his mouth to re-establish communications. At the beginning of the winter, 1942, von Paulus's 6th Army at Stalingrad was stuck fast. It had gone well that summer for the Nazis. Less well in November. December to January was a time of reckoning. The defenders of Stalingrad had survived assault after massive assault by the Nazis. It was time for the counterstroke. It was a simple concept. A coordinated drive against the Romanian armies on von Paulus's flanks to pin his 6th Army against the Volga. The dawn of November 19th was damp and foggy over Stalingrad. At 6:30, the weary Soviets heard from their strong points in the rubble a distant thunder. Vatutin and Rokossovsky had opened their assault to the northwest. The Soviets crashed through the Romanians without pause, forcing a breach 50 miles wide. Next day, November 20th, Yeremenko's armies lunged forward south of Stalingrad, overwhelming the Nazi defenses and created an opening 30 miles across. At 4 in the afternoon of November 23rd, 4 days after the start of the offensive, the Soviet armies met. Trapped inside the ring were 22 Nazi divisions, infantry and panzer, 300,000 men. At Christmas time, the Germans in Stalingrad had eaten their horses. They got 1 slice of bread a day. The daily issue of ammunition was 20 or 30 cartridges a man. The situation of the 6th Army was hopeless. Two days later, January 10th, the Red Army attacked from the west to link up with the 62nd Army, still fighting from its bunkers on the Volga bank. On January 31st, von Paulus surrendered. The Soviets put the figure of German dead since the encirclement at 200,000. The prisoners numbered 91,000. It was safe to leave their shelters now. safe for the civilians to take over the battlefield that had been their homes. There was not much left that was familiar. Mother, we're all alive. Gone to Bekatovka, Klava.